take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. I have with me in the studio journalist Charles Ideho and public affairs analyst Oladeinde Ariyo. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. All right, we'll head straight to the papers now, and we begin with the blueprint. Despite PDP's insinuations, Supreme Court affirms Bala Tambuwal's victories. Ganduje Lalong scaled through too. A day of bad blood over Kanu. A day of bad blood over Kanu governor. Jos agog for Lalong. Bauchi governor promises inclusive governance. We are shocked by Sokoto verdict, APC. Buhari congratulates governors. And to the front page of the Daily Times, talking about the same story, Supreme Court affirms election of 4 governors amid protests by PDP APC supporters. Benue Adamawa governors no fate today. On the front page of the Daily Trust, parents, students lament high acceptance fee in public varsities. To the front page of the News Direct now, Ganduje Tambuwal Lalong Bala's elections upheld by Supreme Court in unanimous judgments. BMO Bala others Lord Judiciary. And finally, on the front page of the Vanguard, 5 killed as pipeline fire razes homes, vehicles in Lagos, 150 homeless as 30 buildings get burned, 39 vehicles gutted, security men, communities are accomplices. NNPC boss. A really sad story there. But gentlemen, we'll be looking at the Supreme Court judgment of yesterday, which is on the front page of most of the newspapers we have this morning. Well, we'll take it from the News Direct. 4 governors, Ganduje Tambuwal Lalong Bala's elections were upheld by the Supreme Court. We knew, the tension, that trailed some of the states before the Supreme Court judgment yesterday. But did the judgment come to you as a surprise? I'll start with you.
I wouldn't say so. I wasn't surprised because what it is coming now to is the fact that we are weakening our electoral process. If the final decision regarding who occupies which office will no longer be determined by the voters,
by the people,
but by the Supreme Court, and in large numbers for that matter. That's one of my takeaways. The second one is Ganduje was threatening that it will end the reign of Emir Sanusi. And I wonder, why should that be a big deal? There was so much tension in Kano.
Yes.
Yes, ahead of the declaration. All of these are not in the interest of the average person in Kano. And the earlier we start moving away from this, the better. Because our democracy will remain nascent if we allow this to continue.
To fester, yeah.
No, if they have issues, personal issues, they should go and clear that and allow peace to reign. Because without peace, people they can't accomplish their visions. They can't achieve their visions. There can't be growth. There can't be development. So the earlier people are made to understand that election is about the people and should not always end up in courts, the better. Agreed that it puts a final seal on the entire thing.
Yes, it is the last hope of the common man.
So everybody now, but we shouldn't always go that far.
It's far.
Other countries don't go that far. And the law says within 90 days. Now, some have been there for 8 months. You're now saying pack your load and go. It doesn't make for reasonable and deliberate development.
Charles, with the tension that we saw that trailed the Supreme Court judgment yesterday, what do you think could have happened if the judgment was upturned?
Better on the margin. Because when you look at Kano, for instance, schools were horribly short. Schools, where children were asked to stay away from school. That's to tell you that tension was building up. If the case had gone the other way, I do suppose, and I can say here with all degree of concern, that it could have spelled doom for the polity, because the conflagration that would have brought in would have been unimaginable, as I suppose to say. But having said that, I think now it had happened this way, it's gone the way of the expectation of many. Those governors, those players can now face proper governance, and then put behind them whatever anomalies that have been in the system. But just to tie into what Ariyo said earlier, I think I find the process very annoying. I find it very disenchanting, and I can also hastily add I also find it very, very disconcerting that we are still allowing the courts to decide for us. And if we allow it to happen, to continue like this, then we are not growing.
Let's even look at the decisions. Let's even look at the decisions of the justices.
Yes.
Some cases were said to have been lacking in merit.
Yeah,
and so there were unanimous decisions.
Lacking in merit,
you know, they couldn't
failure to prove, their cases
and all of that.
Yes.
I wonder what you make, what does this say of our electoral process?
Good. I also see, if the Supreme Court is saying that some of this opposition to the victory of those people who are there now, they were lacking in merit, then it tells you that what it means is that we have bad losers. Because when people have lost, all they want to do is they just want to go to court. Let me see if by chance something
because they have that privilege.
That's what I'm saying, but the privilege should not be abused. When the court is telling you that your case before me lacks in merit, then it tells you something that either the legal team of the opponent did not prepare well, or when they look at the case.
But they should know better, shouldn't they?
But again, they're also making money because they will say, okay, let's go. They'll tell you, let's go there. Because they're also shorting out their CV. I was a son that represented
God bless you. Then they have a job to do. There's money to be made.
Then there's CV to show up.
And I think the Supreme Court should begin to penalize them for wasting the time of
yes. Man hours and resources and all that.
You don't just come with frivolous on non-sustainable cases.
All right.
You should stop.
All right.
I'm going to pay for that name. The way you pronounce it.
You're using Nigeria data.
Well, all right, so let's look at newspapers this morning now. We'll start with the blueprint. It says, despite PDP's insinuations, Supreme Court affirms Bala Tambuwal's victories. Ganduje Lalong scale through too. A day of bad blood over, says Kano governor. Just Agog for Lalong. Bauchi governor promises inclusive governance. We're shocked by Sokoto verdict, says APC. Buhari congratulates governors. The Daily Times says Supreme Court affirms elections of 4 governors amid protest by PDP APC supporters. Benue Adamawa governors no fate today. The Daily Trust says parents, students lament high acceptance fee in public universities. That's in the Daily Trust of this morning. The News Direct is saying here, Ganduje Tambuwal along Bala's elections upheld by Supreme Court in unanimous judgments. BMO, Bala, others, Lord Judiciary. That's in the News Direct at this point. Now the Vanguard is saying here, 5 killed as pipeline fire raises homes, vehicles in Lagos, 150 homeless, as 30 buildings get burnt, 39 vehicles gutted. Security men communities are accomplices, says NNPC boss. The Guardian is saying here, why national career plan failed. Stakeholders suggest ways to realize dream. Ghana, Uganda, Senegal, others make progress. Okay, so that's the Guardian this morning. We will stick with the story in the Vanguard newspaper. And it says here, 5 killed as pipeline fire raises homes, vehicles in Lagos. 150 homeless as 30 buildings get burnt. 39 vehicles gutted. Security men communities are accomplices, says NNPC boss. Now, gentlemen, on Sunday, an explosion happened. We heard it was in 2 places, Ekoro in Abulegba and Fagba axis. Now in Ekoro, 5 people.
No, not Fagba, it's Okeodo.
Okeodo. Yes, around that axis.
Ekoro.
Fagba
they are contiguous. They are contiguous.
Connected areas. So this situation has gotten a lot of people stranded. 5 people have died already. A lot more are stranded, no place to stay. And the cause of this is the explosion there of a pipeline, the NNPC pipeline there. How do we go about this situation? It has happened before, not that era, in other areas. Even in that same area, several times it happened. Yeah, but this is a recurring situation. If we don't do anything now, it might happen in future. How do we solve
Maybe
this?
I should ask you, what do you think we can do about it? Because somebody was saying that when you say explosion, you must ask yourself, how did it come about? Was it triggered? Was it instigated? Was there a disruption in the system, deliberate disruption by human beings, which is the truth. Now, my question is this. Why do people think they must go criminal in their quest for quick wealth, forgetting that the resultant consequences may be far more destructive and damaging? This aggregating has happened, Abulegba thing has happened repeatedly. Lives have been lost, houses burnt, people became homeless. Yet, some ill-mannered people, ill-fated people will still think they must go there, break the pipeline, and siphon fuel. And usually, that happens. Now, you keep asking, what is the way forward? What can we do about it? We are not the only country in the world that has pipelines carrying explosives. But you rarely hear of all of these happenings. So why are we like this? It's still the connection between poverty, greed, and kleptomania.
But despite the fact, Charles, despite the fact that there's poverty, there's greed, like you mentioned, kleptomania, what about the agency that owns the pipelines? What were they supposed to do? What have they done?
I can tell you categorically, that I have been part of different initiatives to bring foreign technology that can monitor pipelines.
I was going to say that, yes. Remotely now, whereby at the instance that any compromise was being introduced to any pipeline,
there's a trigger.
It's triggered, and the response comes. Yes. But because all of us that were in it were not politically correctly connected, those initiatives didn't see the light of the day.
Charles?
Yeah, I can't differ from what he said, just said. I think we need to move away from the analog way of doing things, which has continued to suppress us, suppress our growth, suppress our progress. NNPC has the funds. NNPC, I think, has the manpower. NNPC also has the know-how to get this behind us by deploying the necessary technology that will ensure monitoring. I mean, Saudi Arabia, I've never heard of any pipeline bust. I have never heard any pipeline bust in Iran and all this other area. Even Angola, our brother in Africa. So we must move away from the analog. And then you also look at the nuisance value you place on where you bring NSCDC. You say they are going to be guiding pipeline. How much do you pay those personnel? You pay them poorly. These people sleep in the bush. They have guns. At the end of the day, they are not well. What do? They become part of the cabal, become part of the miscreants that are even bossing the pipeline. So
you believe the security men stationed there
they are compliant? Yes, but they are accomplices.
Brother, they are more on the expressway chasing tankers.
Most of them, because they know the terrain. So they know, at the end of the day, they now become part of the game.
The solution they not becoming the problem.
I give you, even in the Niger Delta, where some of us come from, when you go to the creeks, all these areas, there are people, I've heard this story as a journalist, that there are some people like naval officers, all these naval ratings and all that, that you post away from there, maybe you deploy them, they will spend money to go back again to these areas. They spend money to be deployed back. What's the denominator? What's the attraction? Because what they are getting is same thing. People also pay to guide pipelines. So how can somebody pay to go guide pipelines? It means that there's something that is attractive. So we need to look at the system and deploy technology to do away with the analog that has remained where we have always been.
So who do we blame now?
We have to blame the authority. NNPC carries the blame.
NNPC is blaming the people.
No, you can't blame. Look, you can't blame the people because there's also lack of education. Proper education, I should
and who's supposed to provide that?
Is the authorities. We also look at, when people, as you said something about, he's talking about hunger and all that. When people are hungry, they have no way to go, and there's pipeline looking at them, and they know that they bust it. So,
you see, they are conscious of the negative consequences. They knew it could happen. That happened before.
But did you try and error?
But they are far too gone in their lack, greed, and avariciousness. They just want the money.
Okay. Let me quickly add
over and above all of the dangers.
I was coming from Benin at the weekend. Okay. You know, over time, we've heard of reports where conflagration and inferno happen when there's a falling tanker, people going to school fuel. We have heard that. But you know, I can't remember the community around Ondo, as we were driving, if a tanker fell fuel gushing out. People from their homes were guarding jerry cans and rushing to all this place. What about if fire sparks? So they are aware that it can cause death. But there's death, there's a survivor.
So they choose survivor. Or they will choose death. Choose one.
The operating phenomenon is
Right.
That is wealth resides at the throat of King
Lion.
We head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the blueprint. Despite PDP's insinuations, the Supreme Court affirms Bala Tambuwal's victories. Ganduje Lalong scaled through too. Day of bad blood over Kanu Governor. Jos Agog for Lalong. Bauchi Governor promises inclusive governance. We are shocked by Sokoto verdict, APC. Buhari congratulates governors. To the front page of the Daily Times, the Supreme Court affirms the election of 4 governors amid protests by PDP APC supporters. Benue Adamawa governors no fate today. On the front page of the Daily Trust, parents, students lament high acceptance fee in public varsities. We'll be looking at that story shortly. And to the front page of the News Direct, Ganduje Tambuwal Lalong Bala's elections upheld by Supreme Court in unanimous judgments. BMO Bala others Lord Judiciary. On the front page of the Vanguard now, 5 killed as pipeline fire raises homes, vehicles in Lagos. 150 homeless as 30 buildings get burnt. 39 vehicles gutted. Security men communities are accomplices. NNPC boss. And finally, to the front page of The Guardian, why National Carrier Plan failed. Stakeholders suggest ways to realize dream. Ghana, Uganda, Senegal, others make progress. All right, gentlemen, this story I'm setting will interest you, gentlemen, and it's on the front page of the Daily Trust. Parents and students lamenting high acceptance fee in public universities. And the paper here made an infograph where listed some universities and the amount they collect. University of Benin collects about 60 to 80,000 naira. Michael Okara University of Agriculture 50,500, and the list goes on to Taraba State University collecting as low as 11,000 naira. And then there are 2 universities, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University and Federal University Kashere in Gombe State, that do not collect acceptance fees. I mean, it is shocking to see that public universities are collecting as much as 60,000 to 80,000 naira as acceptance fee, Charles.
It's shocking. I'm also lamenting.
Oh, wow.
Because I've just become a parent of a young boy who just get admission to a university. Yes. Even though he could, some of us could afford that money. But I know of a woman whose daughter also got admission in the same school as my son, whose main source of livelihood is snacks, selling snacks on the roadside. I mean, I know what that woman passed through to be able to raise the 60,000 minus the school fees. That's almost 80,000. Then you still have to pay about 17,000 to register for
you pay ICT fee, faculty departmental levy, late registration, municipal fee, all of this.
I mean, I have the list. If I'm not even finished paying as I speak. So that's why I say I'm also a lamenting parent. Wow. I mean, if you educate, it's called it public school.
That is why a lot of these persons,
I went to public school. Here. Went to public secondary school, public university, and so. If it had been like this, maybe some of us would have been able to go to school. I wouldn't be here today speaking grammar, because the value we are placing on education in this country is we are lowering the value
because of this payment.
No, let me say this. Because not everybody can afford education, but education is the hallmark of growth in any country. Okay, if you actually want to develop your country, you must educate its citizenry. Now, if you now place so high a premium on education, then it will become unreachable. If you become unreachable, then the people who are going to be assessing it will be people who are the rich. Then in that case, the everyday person will not have any
some will ask the question: if the schools were properly funded, will they ask or request for these fees?
No, I will answer that question with a question. At what point is the school properly funded? For me, it's a lack of creative thinking.
On whose part?
On the management of the school. And I'm saying this with every sort of responsibility. Now, when you look at those who don't collect any money, they still run the system. The question is, you need more money. We know that governments cannot give them enough funds, no doubt about that. But if you need more money, they should look at other options. Perhaps instead of saying acceptance fee, why not say development levy or something? See, when the parents paid for form, trained, groomed them for the exams, they passed, they did post-UTME and all of that.
And you pay money at
So
that.
at
all
this
of those.
point, they are paying.
Yeah.
When they admitted, I was.
Why should you pay
I
money
was
to be
admitted to a
accepted? To accept your...
It should be just a paper, a piece
Yes.
of paper, a sheet to
You
sign and
sign.
say.
You sign and you are
sign.
now paying
when
to
you
be
must,
accepted.
let's even go back to basic thinking.
Yes.
Will I have applied for an examination
If I
when
didn't want
I
to
don't
get
want to
to
accept admission?
Oh, that's
hey,
it.
come on.
So why should I have to pay for acceptance?
So what am I paying for the acceptance
It
again?
is perhaps creative thinking on the part of the school.
Creative
that's
thinking,
not
to generate
making
funds.
people dry?
Negative
No.
You see,
No.
it makes the parent or the child now victims, okay? Because it's a catch-22 situation. They have no choice. They have to pay.
Or
I mean,
else they lose
or-
their
I mean, look,
admission.
okay,
Now,
admission. After
imagine
passing-
a student who
after
passed all this way,
passing-
after passing the
All through the
exam well.
hurdles to get to that
Exactly.
point.
Then they will now give the admission slots to people who didn't do well.
Who can
Because-
afford
because
to
they could
pay.
Who
afford
can
it.
afford?
Yes.
And then the question is, what's the value of education in that aspect?
Okay.
So
For
because
me,
if you are talking about merit, when students have gone through all the processes of examination and all that, and they have secured examination by merit, why do you now still have to compel them to pay so much to accept being admitted? It doesn't make any logical sense to me.
For me-
Because, if you want to do it because it's a public school, and that's why government had to step in order to make education affordable because of the growth of the country, all right, of the nation, of the system. But if you now have to put everything, now to compare, to pay, you have given me an admission. Okay, I need to now pay you close to 100,000 to accept being admitted. Who is thinking along that line? It doesn't make any logical sense to me. Because if we
Charles
were
is hurt and he's
Child,
I'm
standing.
hot.
yeah,
Yes.
that's why I
I'm
allow him
hot.
to talk.
I'm hot.
But the point is this: education should be global, should be inclusive.
Yes.
Everybody must
Should
be
have
given
access.
equal access
Yes.
and opportunity to be educated. But then you're not bringing in financial barriers. You are limiting
You are limiting access to
like
it.
you said,
Yes.
if it were to be, when we went to school, if they accept to come and begin to pay this kind of fees, I wouldn't have gone to school.
I want to go to school.
I went
Possibly.
to school with tears.
We are already talking about over hundreds of children out of school.
Then most
And
of the-
now
okay.
we are now having issues like
imagine
this.
the people that are unable to pay.
Now,
Okay.
we are now having issues like
imagine
this.
the people that are unable to pay this, they will now be out of the system. They will now join the ones that will be coming next year.
Yes.
So how can you now? So many people are already waiting on the list. Then you are still sending people not by their design, but by the design of the school, which of course is uncalled for. So why don't you just there's a school you mentioned, I think Taraba
Yes,
State or
in
Bauchi,
Gombe State.
say-
that doesn't
Any
collect
money
anything.
now.
Yes.
So but how are they surviving? That's
That's the question.
So how are they
I
surviving?
told you.
So,
it's all
but
about
last year, the
capacity
House
to
of
pay
Reps tried
through.
to work on this. Perhaps they should do something more this time around.
It's about capacity to think things through. I've told somebody yesterday that all these universities, they should have what I call war room situations, whereby when you have a fundamental challenge, gather people whose heads are on their necks. Let them think through that.
Are there
Exactly.
people who
Yes.
says are not
Oh,
on their
come on.
Really?
There are people who are not even
Let
they are
them
thinking
think
backward.
through. Each time we speak here, they will say, think outside the box. And I say, which box? Have you identified the box? Have you picked out the content of the box and exhausted them before you now say you are going outside the box? We just want the easy way out. It shouldn't happen. Maybe if they say pay 1,000 naira, that is very.
Yes, that's okay,
nothing,
no,
nobody will
exactly.
Or
complain.
10,000 naira.
For
which is-
acceptance,
for acceptance.
For an
acceptance of
exam that I
admission.
paid to be a part
So
of.
you would prefer 1,000 naira? Is that what it is?
Maybe a token. I don't want to name, but a token that even the indigent parents can
They
can
should
afford.
think-
Everybody is happy that your
cannot-
word have passed. Have been admitted.
Charlie.
Then you are now You don't know
So
how a
perhaps
body not
parents
have
should
to
push
money.
now, push
They
the,
should.
put
But
pressure.
the patients are helpless. The parents are helpless.
Perhaps push something
helpless.
to the House of Reps to do something about this.
But the House of Rep who are good, their students are they here? The children here?
I'm speaking for you now.
That's
Please
an
speak for me, I
option.
beg.
What they're doing
Quickly,
is
for
quickly,
me.
we have to go.
No, but I already paid it. Can't speak for I already paid the money. I
They are
already paid
building a gate of hell against indigenous
Ariyo,
students.
I've already paid the
We
money.
will seek for refund.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you.
You're watching TVC Breakfast and we're streaming live on YouTube. You can connect with us on Twitter using the hashtag TVC Breakfast.